Travis went good, so. I'm sure the majority of you are able to be naturals at whatever you do, that you don't have to even exercise, work hard, practice, study. It just all comes naturally to you. And as a result, this video obviously isn't for you. But I'm pretty sure that the majority of you are in a job or in a field that has required you to have done some preparatory experience, training, education, study. And so why is it then that as Mormons, all of a sudden you don't do any of that and you think you're an expert in Mormonism? How many of you actually know that we're Jewish if we're going to claim Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon? How many of you know the correct translation of the Bible from the biblical Hebrew or the Greek text? How many of you know that the Bible came from the Egyptian records? And as we get deeper into things, all of a sudden less and less people have no knowledge of the subject matter. And when you have not studied, when you don't know the subject matter, you tend to make excuses and justifications and apologies for such. For example, I don't get involved in deep doctrine. I only focus on the basics. And you have no clue what the basics are, let alone how it's to be done. And you come up with a spiritual witness rather than a physical witness testimony. And you come up with beliefs. You add what isn't there to add. And so on and so on. You know, like Saturday's Warrior. You add to the theology. And then you create false doctrines of a soulmate. And then you get divorced, and then you realize that there's no such thing as a soulmate. You realize that all you need is two people who can love each other. And so, yeah, when I went on my mission, I didn't know Mormonism. I'd been through early morning seminary, been to EFYs every summer, and I had no clue what I was going out there to talk about. But they gave us missionary study guides to lessons to give to others, and it laid out Mormonism as they wanted to tell us in short sentence, concise information, subject matter. And that was cool, because then I used those to apply to scripture interpretation. And though it was incorrect, and thus my interpretation of scripture was incorrect, it helped me, as I thought, in studying scriptures. But when you actually study scriptures, you learn what is false to get rid of it. So there's no need to fear in studying things. But yeah, when you're ignorant on the subject matter, you create fear that has no existence. Oh, I don't know. I don't want to lose my testimony. You don't have one. You don't know the subject matter. You got to know the subject matter to even claim to have a testimony of something. So, yeah, lots of falsehood emerges when you refuse to study, when you refuse to do your research, when you refuse to learn Mormonism. And yet you go out into the world, you go out among your peers, out in society, to school, to work, and they find out you're Mormon because you're wearing weird underwear, or you don't have tats, or you don't drink, you don't smoke, right? Because Mormons don't do any of that. None of the Mormons here do that. As one of the Mormons that was upset with me months back confessed to one of the other guys just a little while ago that he was getting drunk last night with Everclear. Dumbasses. And so, yeah, there are other Mormons with tats here, and smoke and drink and drugs, and get mad at me when I criticize the church. This is what happens when you're ignorant about a subject matter, and in particular about Mormonism. You just have no clue how to be a Mormon, let alone a good one. And the church has purposely dumbed down Mormonism, dumbed down Mormons, keeping Mormons from learning and studying, as Mormons use the justifications that came from the prophets in the first place over the pulpits of conference to lead Mormons astray and to make them vulnerable to susceptibility, because then the prophets can then throw out things and Mormons interpret it with their ignorance and their redefining of words, and are conditioned, mentally programmed to what the prophets want. And that's what happens when you're dumb. Did you not watch Star Wars Return of the Jedi? Luke Skywalker goes into Jabba the Hutt's lair, and the pig guards are dumb, and so they're easily susceptible to the Jedi mind tricks. These are not the droids you're looking for. And he's right on the subject, even though they're fictional characters that have no reality. But that's how people are able to be brainwashed, is you deny them correct education, correct information, so that they don't study. And if they do study, they don't study correctly. Like on my mission, I learned the wrong information. And so if you find out that my #1 video on this channel has almost 40,000 views, and you're wondering, well, he does these other videos lately that's saying that we're not going back to Independence, Missouri. He's talking about Southern Illinois. What's that all about? It's because I was taught incorrectly as a Mormon. And so as you watch my videos from beginning to current, you see how study changes a person's video content. And I am a personal example for you as to how to do this correctly. And nonetheless, Mormons still refuse to study. Mormons refuse to do their research, and are learning incorrect information from the prophets still. As Mormons think it's okay to plagiarize, because Bednar did it. Mormons think that Nelson's false translations of Cornerstone and Chief Cornerstone, and the false translation of Israel, which is a white supremacist version, and his latest Unequally Yoked to Jesus, they're all true, and we're now going to change Scripture because the living prophet said that's how it is. Mormons get duped, punked by their prophets. who are liars and deceivers, leading them astray. And they don't have a clue, and they don't care, because they don't study. If you study the church, you learn Joseph Smith had nothing to do with any of what's going on right now. And then you got to figure out, what is the truth then? What is this? And here we have an argument outside that I hope doesn't escalate this direction, or escalate into verbal abuse. That would cause me to have to pause the video or end it abruptly. But again, they're most likely Mormons. But that's the whole point. You know, when you're ignorant on a subject matter, your insecurity about your ignorance on the subject matter results in an emotional response of violence and anger and frustration, because you've been exposed as being ignorant on the subject matter. And thus, why I get attacked so much is because I did the study, I did the research, and Mormons didn't, and here I am, coming out and exposing and exploiting that ignorance in Mormons. And they're unhappy with it, and they lash out, and they want to murder, and they forget, oh, the living prophet told us we're not supposed to abuse people. He said, don't, stop. And so we're not stopping. Hilarious. But, you know, it's when you see and understand how to learn, and you witness others in society purposely hurting other people, you know, it's angering. It's a different kind of anger. It's not a responsive anger. It's more of what the bleep are you doing to other people, causing them harm kind of anger. And I'm not in a position to hold them accountable. And those who are in the position are not doing their job, despite Utah having the 1984 Big Brother slogan of see something, say something. When you do say something, they just toss it in the garbage file. They don't do anything about it. And so what was the whole point of telling us to narc on other people for crimes if they're not going to do anything about it? And then society breaks down, corruption ensues, and survival of the fittest takes over. And then the government says, well, you know, this is the way it is. It's our nature. Mankind. We have to then control you and take away your agency. All because people are dumb. And the people in charge make sure people are dumb. Not a single one of us in the United States are taught logic and Socratic method in our public school systems. And instead, now we have the push of Christianity to have the supernatural, untrue Jesus stuff pushed on us, on everybody, whether you're Christian or not. Because again, that's what Christianity does. They force religion onto other people. You have to be Jesus or you're the enemy, and we have to destroy you. And so yes, they can pretend to be nice to other religions and other people, but if you do not become them, they will destroy you and punish you. Oh, no, sorry, we can't help your kind. Oh, you want medical treatment? No, not for your kind. Oh, you want a wedding cake? No, not for your kind, etc., etc. And the church is all a part of that too. And they do the same thing. As you've witnessed in the news, they've changed BYU. You now have to be Mormon to work for the church. Because they don't want other kinds. They create the other. And so then the church has a bunch of unskilled, uneducated labor in their workforce, and you can tell where that's going to head. So, such is the way it is.